Windows down, it's Friday. Rudy Campos Jr., Derek Gervin, the sports answer. Let's ride! It's the Friday drive home, San Antonio flow. Rudy and Derek live on YouTube. Here we go, streaming online, podcast wherever you roam. NBA, NFL, Spurs, and hot takes. We on the zone. Powered by Salem, surround San Antonio.
All right, the Friday Drive, Rudy Campos, Derek Gervin, Hall of Famer Derek Gervin. We're back live in studio. And yeah, we got to give a shout out to Salem Surround, Derek, 210-526-3635, proud sponsors of us here at the Sports Answer, the Friday Drive edition. And I was going to come in and talk NFL with you, but because the schedule came out, I'm going to give you a week because I need a week to look at all the games and predict who's going to be our Super Bowl champion, because you and I do it before preseason. We do it on NBA, NFL. We do all of our picks before preseason. So I'm not even going to worry about that right now. But you know what? Forget it. I'm going to ask you, give me one team, Derek, without even knowing the schedule. Give me one team that you think would win the title this year for the Super Bowl.
Oh, boy. He's putting me on the spot, under the spotlight. Well,
I'll give you one, too, but I want you to go first.
Right now, I'll just throw it out there since we haven't really covered and got into it. I'm going to throw the Rams out there.
You and I have, is it the ESPN thing between the minds? I'm going with the Rams again this year. I think they're just dominant. So before we get into NFL football talk, which we'll probably end up doing next week, we're going to look at the schedules and get you guys ready for NFL football season. But we got a ton of NBA to cover, especially San Antonio. Massive games tonight. So we're going to get into those. Also, Spurs Cheeseman, Derek, a question about Victor Wembanyama. Are there two guys in the league on one team you would trade for it? And NBA trade deadline stuff that we're going to get into. As you can see the graphic, that's going to be our Spurs Cheeseman segment there. I want you fans out there to look at it and think, okay, how am I going to answer this? That way you can answer. We don't have a phone line today. We'll have it next week. But also we're going to get into some WNBA talk because we want to talk about the Mount Rushmore. That's a very tough one to do right there. But first and foremost, man, we're going to get into this here. It is Spurs play day. Let me bring up the graphic for this one right here because they ended up winning. Let me get this real quick here. I got it right here. The last game, game 5, 126-97. Victor, amazing game. The trios of guards played amazing. They came out in game 5. Usually 75% of winners of game 5 go on to win the series. Give me your thoughts about game 5. Because again, will it trickle into game 6? But thoughts on game 5?
Well, the Spurs set the tone from the beginning. Been a lot of talk. Was Victor going to be suspended? Of course, some people thought he should be. Some people thought he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And then we kind of figured at the NBA, at the end of the day, you don't want to see your marquee players sitting out. Yeah, we've already had guys out like Luka. Jason Tatum got hurt again. So you want to see the best version of these guys.
Yeah.
So Victor came out, set the tone from the very beginning. That's starting to become a little normal for him.
Yeah.
And so he gets 18 points in the first quarter. And when you start like that, we even heard Anthony Edwards make a comment about basically there was nothing they can do.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they set the tone early. It was good to see. Now we got to back it up again tonight.
It's funny because I hear all the, and I've been on the Dylan Harper bandwagon before Rutgers. When he was coming out of high school, I remember telling a lot of people, Dylan Harper is going to be one of the superstars in the league eventually. No idea he lands with the Spurs. Probably if he's on another team, he's probably rookie of the year. I mean, he's going to get starting minutes. Probably has a better rookie season than Cooper Flagg, better than Konkoneppo. But he's with the Spurs. Now, I go this route here because you have the talk of, well, we're going to have to pay Dylan Harper eventually. You're going to have to pay Stephon Castle eventually. You can't carry max deals with Fox, Harper, and Castle and Wemby. So people are saying one has to go. I say no, because by the time Dylan is up for a max deal, De'Aaron should be coming off of his contract. So he may take less money to stay with the Spurs, but I'm going to say this now. In the NBA and in history, how many times have we seen a trio of guards that can be dominant together? I come up with one trio: Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, Chris Mullin. And I'm having trouble thinking of another trio of guards that are like that can be the focal point. First things first, you feel all three guys can play together? Because I know I do. And then is there another trio of guards in history that you can even think of?
I've been thinking right away, your mind would start rushing and going towards teams like the Lakers, the Celtics.
And never.
Yeah. So excuse me. Excuse me. I can't think of it. I started thinking about the Knicks with Walt Frazier and Earl Monroe. And then I was like, well, who's the third guy? And I know Dean Meminger was one of the backups, but no, the only team I could think even close would be right now Caruso, Dort, Shea, or Kason Wallace, Dort, Shea.
I mean, I would take the Spurs trio over that right now.
Well, I'm saying just the only three I can think even put in the conversation of guys that have already, proven something, already have won.
Yeah.
And that would be those three. But no, you're talking on that level. I started thinking Manu and Tony.
And then
I was like, well, Danny Green was not on that level. So no, I can't think in all the history of all the years I've watched the Jerry West days and Gail Goodrich, I can't, it's hard for me to pull up that third guy.
That to me, like I said, the only trio, and even Mullen was a small forward, but to me, those three guys, Mitch Richmond, Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullin, probably the only trio that I can think that comes close to what we're seeing now. And I would probably take this trio over them because defensively, they're a hell of a defensive trio too. So could we potentially be seeing the best trio of guards ever assembled next to what could possibly be the best big man ever to play the game?
Well, they're on the right track. And I think all three of those guys play well. And when you have a good team, we're talking about Fox, Vassell. I mean, I'm not even Vassell. We're talking about Fox, Harper. And we're talking about three guys, Castle. We're not even talking about Devin Vassell. So, and that's when you have a deep team. But if you think back, TMC, Tim, Mitch, and Chris, oh, man, I go all the way back. Let me see, Bobby Jackson, Stojakovic, and Mike Bibby, even they weren't on that level either. No. So, man, that's a good question. And right now, all I could think of would be TMC. So, man, they're definitely, oh, boy, it's scary.
That's why you tune in to the Friday Drive with Derek and I, because we put a lot of things in perspective. We make sense here, and we tell you guys, the ideal and the truth about it. There really is no trio of guards. So then it goes back to the first question. You don't break this guard trio up because you may never see it again. There's got to make a way to make it work.
Well, it's funny because you and I had talked about like trading two players for one player.
Yeah,
and
that's foreshadowing.
I'll even tell you that I even called you today about what someone said. Now, San Antonio, this is just me just going off what someone else said. It's not me. I was asked, would they trade Mr. Harper, Dylan Harper, and Stephon Castle if the Spurs could get Giannis Antetokounmpo?
That's a good one. I'm going to let you answer that.
I'm not doing it. And the main reason I'm not doing it is because I believe in those two guys.
Yeah.
And then you throw in that Giannis has been getting injured over the last few years.
Yeah.
And so he's not in his prime, I don't believe, anymore. I'm not saying he's done. He's still one of the best players when healthy.
Yeah.
But I think he's not in the days where he was flying over the rim, like a 23, 24-year-old.
No.
And so to give up these two guys, I mean, who am I getting for them? Shohei Ohtani and who?
You're getting Shohei and Yamamoto, the pitcher. That way you can guarantee it. I mean, okay. The obvious guy would be, trade De'Aaron Fox for the money reason. But you can't trade a De'Aaron Fox. I mean, there's really no way you can break this trio up. And shout out to Tim Legler, because he was saying the Spurs are going to have problems signing Dylan Harper when he comes up. I don't find that. I don't buy that. Why? Because not only that, I really feel Victor is a Tim Duncan, David Robinson personality guy where I know I can get the max, but I'm willing to take a little bit less to make sure I've got a team that competes every single year. I don't see any player on this team that has the mentality of a LeBron James or somebody that says, I need a lot of money. I need my money. I think these guys are here to win. And he's worried that Dillon may be a guy that thinks, well, I can run my own team. I can have my own team. Dillon comes from a great family background with Ron Harper, who Ron was a pretty good team guy, team overall guy. He's got a good voice in his ear. So I don't think he's like that at all.
You know, last night I thought about something, and I started thinking about Dylan Harper, right?
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Castle or Fox, but I started thinking about duos. I'm projecting where I see Dylan Harper, okay? I think he has potential to be that other superstar, and I love Stephon Castle.
Yeah.
But we're talking about moving forward as they developed even more. I see Dylan Harper and Wemby, and that's Wemby staying healthy, of course, but that's all the players, staying healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
If they stay healthy, I'm looking at that duo. We've heard about the Kareem and the Oscar, the Magic and the Kareems. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They have the potential to be in rare air. Kobe, Shaq. I believe Dylan Harper is that good. I really do. I believe it's kind of like Michael Jordan was held back a little bit in college.
Yeah.
I believe Dylan, by him being a rookie, and he has to, you have to earn your stripes, and he's earning his, right? And you don't want to upset the chemistry either.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at his progression between now and next season, and what I see him and Victor. Oh man, they better look out. OKC, the Spurs are coming.
That's definitely true. As you saw, a Game 5 win, 126-97. Game 6 is tonight. We're going to get into that right now. Got a comment from Jeff Garcia of Spurs in Focus. Says, Rudy, Derek, will the Aprons financial issues cause the breakup of the San Antonio Spurs because it's a small market that can overpay? I don't even mean can or can't, but that's the question, is that you've got so much talent that you're going to have so much money wrapped up into 4 guys. I really feel at the end of things, they're going to get paid their first go around. And you got to remember, to get a super max deal, you got to have MVP, you got to win Defensive Player of the Year, or you got to be all NBA. Stephon Castle may not be all NBA right now. I don't know if he gets to all NBA by the time his contract is coming up. Dylan Harper potentially could be all NBA, but he needs to be a starter in order for him to get all NBA. De'Aaron Fox will more than likely not be all NBA. So the money won't be super max deal, but it will be max contract. So I think they're able to work numbers galore somewhere there to keep all 4 there.
Man, I think PJ Holt, Peter Jr., whatever y'all want to call him, I know him as PJ. They're not breaking that team up. If you remember, I told you the year before Fox came. Remember the year? I told you in advance he was coming, right? Yeah. I believe he came here for a reason. I believe there's some kind of connection, that they have a good connection with the Spurs and with Reese Caldwell's. If some of you don't know, De'Aaron Fox's wife is named Reese Caldwell. She's a former San Antonio high school legend here.
Yeah.
And so her dad, Ray Caldwell, has a program here, and a very good AAU program. So I believe that by her being married to De'Aaron, and of course, De'Aaron's a hell of a player, I don't think the Spurs would break that up. The Spurs are more of a family. It's not like a lot of the teams. If you look at them over the course of their history, they've always been a real unit, what you want our organization to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Spurs are the type to string you along, make promises that they're not going to keep. You come down here 2-3 years, and then, who knows after that what's going to happen. I don't believe they're that kind of team, right?
Yeah.
I believe they're looking at this as a chance to be something special.
Yeah.
And they've already had that taste with Tim Duncan and Tony and Manu, et cetera, and all the other guys. I don't want to leave the other guys out, the Speedy Claxtons. I think they're looking at history. We're ready to pass. What is it now? 18 for Boston.
Yeah.
17 Lakers.
Yeah.
6 for the Bulls. 5 Warriors and Spurs.
Ready to pass.
I think the Spurs are ready to ascend and get into that top tier. So I don't see them breaking this up anytime soon. I think it's going to be something that's going to be great.
I agree. I totally agree. Jeff's back in here. But if any of the Spurs big players hit free agency, they're a top choice for big markets, so their money at them. The San Antonio Spurs can't compete with that. That's true. But also, if I'm not mistaken, Stephon, Dylan, probably even Wemby, you hold the bird rights. So you can match anything that a team puts out there. And I don't think it affects the cap. You can go over the cap to pay them, and it doesn't affect you because of the bird rights. Now, after that, that's when it gets a little, messy. But I think you're talking, like 8 years of these guys that you can potentially have because of the rights?
How many players have you known over the history? Okay, I'll even go to just the 2000s.
All right.
Excuse me. How many players have you known have asked out of San Antonio? I mean, you look at it, this is a place. I know some people say that some of the superstars don't come here because they don't have the so-called nightlife and all that.
Yeah.
San Antonio is a place, man, where you feel like you're a superstar.
Yeah.
You could be the 15th, 16th, 17th guy on the roster. If you play for the San Antonio Spurs, you're special.
Yeah.
And that means something. And I think the Spurs, they want to continue to make history. I know PJ wants to carve out his own legacy, him and his sister. They don't want to just live off Peter Holt's name. And I think they have something here in store that's going to be really special. And you have to always remember, OKC is still stacking up their team for years to come.
Oh, God.
And yeah, so think even this year, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
So we have to keep up, as they say for the older people, we have to keep up with the Joneses, they used to say. And that's where I see the Spurs right now.
Can we hurry up with the expansion draft so we can break OKC up? Because every guy that they put on the expansion draft roster is going to be available, and more than likely one of the teams is going to take them. There's no doubt in my mind. Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. Game 5 was going to the Spurs. We got to get into Game 6 now. And the breakdown for Game 6, Derek, I called Spurs in 6. I said Spurs are going to win in 6. I'm hoping they do tonight. We got to break it down. Now, they're in Minnesota. We've always said when you go into another city and another sports arena, the refs are probably going to be a little bit biased. I mean, I don't think Wemby's going to throw any more elbows. At least I hope not. They're going to be a little bit more biased. You're probably going to see more calls going for Minnesota. But I've also noticed that San Antonio tends to adjust very well being in an opponent's gym with the refs kind of one-sided. How do you feel, and what are your keys for tonight's victory? And I'm calling it victory because I took them in 6. I have to call victory. What are the keys tonight for the Spurs right now?
Well, for me, it's to keep making one of the big deals is to keep making Anthony Edwards play on the perimeter.
Yeah.
They've been doing that well. I've heard talk about him maybe getting on the low post a little more.
Yeah.
Or the mid post area and going to work from there. But for me, it's making him take tough shots, right? And keeping Julius Randle, number 30, out of the games. So far, we've pretty much kept Julius Randle out of the series.
Yeah.
They've had a great game plan for him. And those are the two main things, making Anthony take tough shots and don't let Julius Randle get in there and start mixing it up. And I know it's going to be hard for him again because even if Wemby's on the bench, you still have Luke Cornett out there.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, Luke's a good rim protector. And so I think this is man, I want to say it's over tonight. I don't think Minnesota is a team that scores a whole lot of points. And I really felt that way when Dosunmu got hurt and DiVincenzo.
Yeah.
And, of course, Dosunmu is hurt or is back, but I believe now Bones Highland is out.
Yeah.
And so we talked about this series early. We both picked them in 6. And I told you the only chance Minnesota had was to get out in transition.
Yeah.
And so now them having to play Mike Conley more, I think that slows down the team. And as we see, they didn't even score 100 last game, 97 points.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that happening again. I'm not saying it's going to be 126-97, but I can see the Spurs going in and getting up 10 points. And from there, we're going to find out, is Minnesota going to cave in, start thinking about Cancun, or is someone else going to step up like a Terrence Shannon? So tonight's going to be interesting.
As you know, Charles said, they're going to be at in the dirty water in Galveston, going fishing or something, man. The thing that you mentioned about the transition baskets and fast break points for Minnesota, good fact is until Game 5, the Spurs have held them around 7 points on transition. And that's something that, that's going to kill just about any team. If you're getting baited on the fast break, every time Minnesota would score, San Antonio would get on a fast break, get right to the rim. Last game, they allowed Minnesota to score 15 points on fast break, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you've been holding them to 7, that's 8 extra points. Still didn't make a difference. I like what you said about Anthony Edwards because I give credit to Mitch and the coaching staff. You started to see them double team Ant right at half court. As soon as he crossed, they were double teaming and making it tough on him. You said Ant mentioned maybe going into the post. I still think it's struggle for him because if he goes to the post, you're going to have either Julius or Rudy come out to the perimeter. You don't want to have Victor hanging around the in the paint, but nonetheless, Victor can still cheat and make it difficult for Ant in the post. I think that gives them a better opportunity to win with Ant in the post, but I just don't. I'm like you. I don't see them scoring a whole lot in this game at all.
Him being in the post gives them a better option because it's not even so much out of a scoring mindset. It's that he could see everything. You can see the entire floor, right? So even with, like you said, him making that adjustment or the team making that adjustment, at the end of the day, they're still going to have to hit perimeter shots. Yeah. So no matter where you put him, if he's on the low post and they send someone to have to double team him and make him give up the ball, those other guys are still going to have to knock down threes. And I'm not worried about them as a three-point team. If you really look at their team without DiVincenzo, who's really their best three-pointer? For me, it would be Naz Reid. Yeah. Right? And I say Naz is their best three-point shooter. And
it's
so
not even a guard.
Right. That's a problem. And so if Naz is not hitting, Naz seems like the type guy. He plays off that energy. If his shot is falling, he's more engaged on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of players like that.
Yeah.
I just think tonight, man, at some point you run out of game plans. And what kind of game plan can you have for a guy that's 7'5", 7'6"? His height changes every day. I've heard 7'3", I've heard 7'7". Yeah. But when you have a guy like him, and when you got a guy basically almost going out of bounds, Rudy, and you're trying to block him out, and he still can reach over you and tip the ball in the basket, that spells trouble. And so let's go Spurs.
All right, I'm taking them in 6. Obviously, I'm taking them to win tonight. I've got them winning in 6. Derek's got them winning in 6. They're going to come home. I feel victorious. They're going to get ready to play OKC. That's going to be a whole nother, talk about OKC because I've mentioned to you many times, and even practically before the season started, I said, Derek, I don't believe in OKC. I don't. There's something about this OKC team. And yeah, they won 60+ games. They were the best team in the league, yada, yada. But I just don't see the same championship team that I did last year. And that to me is like, it's tough. And again, I have these gut feelings. Maybe it's the Mexican food in San Antonio because I haven't eaten Mexican food in forever. So maybe it's that gives me these bad stomach feelings. But I just haven't felt OKC is unbeatable. I think they're very beatable.
Well, if you look at it, they struggled last year in the finals, didn't they?
They should have lost.
Yeah.
Halliburton goes out. They probably lose.
But here's the thing that scares me. First, let me say this about Minnesota. What scares me, because that series is not over, right?
Yeah.
We saw the spectacle that happened with the Victor elbow, right?
Yeah.
At some point, some teams get desperation. You reach the point of desperation,
retaliation.
Right? Yeah, and I started worrying about, dirty plays. I hate to say that, but I'm being honest. Played in that league. I've seen some stuff happen, and I'm just hoping that the Timberwolves come out and keep it cool, keep it nice and fair. I'll say not the dirty, plays, because I'm worried about Victor. I'm still worried about Victor being at height.
Yeah.
And guys getting underneath him sometime. And, sometimes guys do things intentionally and they say they weren't intentional. We're just being honest about it. Yeah. And so that would be the only thing I worry about tonight. But if we get by them, this OKC, now here's what scares me about OKC, and I think I've told you this.
Yeah.
I think they're better this year than they were last year. And the reasons I believe that is because, first of all, I was very good friends with A.J. Mitchell's dad. He passed away a few months ago.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, Barry Mitchell. But I've seen A.J., and then you bring in Jared McCain. When the Spurs won those games, those 4 games, both of those guys weren't playing.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a new dynamic for OKC. That's going to give us something even harder to deal with, right? Because if you really look at it, Dort, I could live with Lou Dort being a 3-point shooter, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Kason Wallace is a good 3-point shooter in the corner.
Mhm.
So and Caruso is a set shooter. You know, he can shoot from the top of the key, but a set shooter. So they, to me, not real offensive players, I'll say, okay? Now you bring in A.J. Mitchell and McCain, you bringing in real offensive players, guys that look to put the ball in the basket and do it quite well. And that's the thing that makes it a little more challenging for me when I look at this series. It's not going to be the same series we saw during the regular season.
No,
when it was 4-1. And then remember who won the last game when they played? OKC. So it's going to be that's for me, I would call that series a toss-up if it were to happen. I believe it's going to happen, and then we'll talk more about it. But right as of today, I would call that series a toss-up, man.
50-50. 50-50.
Not even 51-49 or 50.1 or 49.9. It's 50-50, yes.
50-50. And the thing is with OKC, the more I look at it, Derek, I completely understand the AJ Mitchell part. In fact, he's probably the only player that scares me on OKC when it comes to that right now. And then I think, well, okay, we've seen the uptick in Dylan Harper's game, both defensively and offensively. That's something OKC really hadn't seen in the regular season yet. Spurs hadn't seen AJ Mitchell. They hadn't really seen Jared McCain. They maybe saw him that last game that they played. And it's like you're going into the playoffs and you're like, these are two different teams now. They got a little bit better with AJ Mitchell. And then you look at that bracket. They didn't play anybody in that bracket. There was no challenge whatsoever. It was OKC against, shout out to Central Catholic High School, in getting round one. And then after that, it was OKC against Our Lady of the Lake against the Lakers. I mean, there was really no challenge to that. But now they get a more physical Spurs team. They get a player who just absolutely hates and has so much dislike for Chet Holmgren. And he plays at a different level. And it's that trio of guards. I'm like, it's something about this series that first we got to get there. I'm going way above my boundaries here. They got to get there first. But it's something about this series against OKC that I would probably put this in one of the most classic NBA series in the playoffs, I think, of all time. I think it's going to be 7 games. More than I think about it, I think every game is probably going to be close. Maybe one blowout in there, but I think you're going to see 2 of the absolute best teams fighting for an NBA title.
Down to the wire.
I don't even say the Western. I say for an NBA title.
Rudy, there's going to be 2 guys for the Spurs that are going to be very important in this series. Harrison Barnes is one.
Definitely.
Because if you look at OKC's lineup, you have Holmgren and you have Big Chet and you have Hardenstein.
Yeah.
And then they also have Jaden Williams.
Yeah.
That you can bring in, and he can stretch the floor, big man, but he can go out to that 3-point line.
Yeah.
So you're going to need somebody like Harrison Barnes and Carter Bryant in this series. It's going to come down to who can execute under duress in the fourth quarter. You hear me? Because it's going to be a lot of good defense being played, a little physicality. It's going to come down to who can take care of that ball.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that, because I'm killing 2 series in one. I'm also sending a message out to my hometown, Cade Cunningham, about taking care of the basketball. And that's going to be important. And OKC Spurs, that's really going to be important because both teams really run their sets well.
Yeah.
You have to take them out of their comfort zones, and that's not easy to do, right?
No.
So this I want this to happen. I still believe it happened. And if it does, we're going to have a lot to talk about because this will be, we're talking about something that could be special over the next several years, like a Lakers, Celtics, and Bulls, and whoever it may be. Yeah, we're looking at something potentially special.
And even Spurs fans, if you remember, this could potentially be that Spurs-Lakers battles for years that they've had. Kobe, Shaq, Tim Duncan, Manu. I mean, those 2 teams battled every year.
George Gervin against Magic and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Those teams, man, break my heart. So it started 40-something years ago. I'm still crying all these years. So let's go Spurs. Hey, all you people out there, listen to me again. Tonight is a big one. Let's go Spurs.
You're listening to Derek Gervin and Rudy Campos on the Friday Drive. Game 6 tonight starts at 8:30. Both of us expecting a Spurs win tonight. Coming home, relaxing, getting ready for OKC. Jeff is back in here. Is the extra days off more beneficial for Anthony Edwards?
Great question, Jeff. First, Jeff, let me say good evening. That's an excellent question because we know he's been dealing with the knee issue.
Yeah.
And he seems, he's getting back in the flow. So, I think the time off is great for Ant. He'll be able to push off that leg, but still, the key is to keep him on the perimeter and not let him get free drives to that basket and get his confidence up. So, yes, the rest definitely is nothing but a plus for him.
Yeah, it's also a plus, Derek, is that Jeff over at Spurs in Focus, which is a part of Answer Now TV, him and I have been doing some live post-game shows after the game. Be sure to catch us tonight. We're probably going to end up doing another one. I hope that we can do it on a Spurs victory because it's kind of tough to do it when they lose, but we have done them all the way here. So be sure to tune to that tonight on Answer Now TV. It's Rudy and Jeff for Spurs in Focus. Hopefully we can get Derek on for that as well, but that's later on tonight. Again, we both are expecting a Spurs victory tonight. We've got more Spurs talk coming up. Definitely got a whole lot more. We got a Spurs Cheesemas segment about Victor Wembanyama. Man, that's going to be a good one. Everybody wants to hear Derek's take on that. Before we do that, what do you want to do? You want to hit WNBA or do you want to hit more NBA basketball? Because I got some great NBA stuff that I got to get to here.
Well, I want to hit the quick NBA. I want us to win this game tonight in Minnesota. Remember, we're playing in Minnesota.
Okay.
So the Spurs secure this victory. We should not be tearing up the city of San Antonio when the Spurs are taking care of business in Minnesota. This is our city. Let's protect our city. Let's show people that we're used to winning. Let's do things the right way. Let's close this series out tonight, and let's celebrate the right way. And so everybody makes it through the night safely.
And as you guys that are watching, of course, on YouTube and Answer Now TV, the graphic is up. San Antonio Spurs take over downtown. As you can see, our message to you is be safe, be responsible, celebrate the Spurs way. Just go out, have fun. You want to honk because we beat Minnesota, great. Go do that, but just celebrate responsible. I know there's a lot of videos going out, and be honest, man, because I'm straight up honest with you. Me and Jeff talked about it last week when we said it's a viral thing. People do things for viral moments because of social media. And like I said last week, it's okay to be viral. Just don't be the viral clip. Don't do anything dumb to where you become viral like that. You don't need that kind of pressure on it. Everybody celebrate responsible. Please, like Derek said, be responsible, be safe, celebrate the Spurs way. It's okay to celebrate. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all, Derek. Definitely nothing wrong.
Wear the jerseys with the Wemby name on the back or whoever it may be. Don't make your jersey become one that has numbers in the front of it. Be smart about what you're doing. Make good decisions tonight.
That, or it could even be the shirt, the t-shirt you bought at the local corner. I mean, those people work hard on them anyway. So whatever you guys want to wear, just remember, be responsible. Derek, we're going to get some NBA talk before we go to WNBA. Then we'll hit our commercial break, coming back with some Spurs cheese. Okay, so players coming up. We've got the NBA draft right around the corner. I, for one, think Danny Ainge is going to fold and trade to get up to number one. Potentially, this is what I think. I think the Wizards are going to give away number one to Utah. In return, Utah is going to send Ace Bailey and the number 2 pick. Ace Bailey last year wanted to be in D.C. He's going to get his wish. Then he goes there. DeBonza goes number 1 to Utah. Everybody's happy. Darren Peterson goes to Washington. That's a pretty stacked team right there. With Peterson, Trae Young, Anthony Davis, Ace Bailey. I got another name that might even be joining them here in a little bit. But the NBA question that a lot of people have asked and I've come up with, where will these players play next season? And I've got a few here. I'm going to throw a few more your way. Names that we've got so far: Giannis, John Moran, Devin Booker, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James. Now, we're going to get into a couple more as well. For those y'all listening, you want to drop other names, drop them in there. But the biggest name is going to be Giannis. He's been rumored to Miami. He's been rumored to Golden State, possibly even New York, Boston for Jaylen Brown. I kind of thought about something, and I saw another person talking about it. If you're the Washington Wizards, you're kind of already building a nice, quiet team right now. There really is no better spot where you can be a star, you can get paid, and you can potentially be a 4th, 5th seed in the East and going to Washington and playing with a Trae Young, with a Darren Peterson, maybe with an Ace Bailey. I think Washington would be a team under the radar you're looking. But for Derek Irvin, Giannis, where do you think, does Giannis stay with Milwaukee or is he gone? Or where does he go?
Wow. I really believe this we've seen his last days in Milwaukee.
I believe so.
And if you really, we heard the rumor about Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mentioned Detroit the last show, I believe.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, man. Wow. I think if Giannis were to leave Milwaukee, it would be for a visible place, a marquee place, I'll say, like LA Lakers, Boston Celtics, Miami Heat, somewhere that he could kind of make up some of the money, I'll say, that he might feel he's lost over the years.
Yeah.
Endorsements, right? And I think Giannis is a very popular guy. He's a well-liked guy. Yeah. I think if he was to uproot, he would leave for that particular reason. You get to seeing these guys making that money, man, endorsement money, like Jason Tatum living off his endorsement money.
Yeah.
You look at LeBron, Luka, you want to, at least get a piece of that, I would say. And then you got guys like Cooper Flag coming up, DeBansa, all these guys are going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So those would be the 3 top teams for me. If he really were to leave, it would be the Lakers. It would be, I left out a team, Golden State Warriors.
Steve Kerr's back.
Those would be my 4. Yeah, with Kerr getting a new 2-year deal. So those would be my 4 teams. I don't think the Knick thing is on a thing that's right now that's really feasible. I don't think that's even talked about. The way the Knicks are playing, I think Karl Anthony has shown everyone who he is. We all know who Karl Anthony Towns is now.
Yeah.
But I could see Golden State, Miami, Boston, or the Lakers, a team like that.
Speaking of Boston, I mean, you're probably looking at Jaylen Brown. His name's going to be coming up a lot in the offseason for trade talks. The most intriguing one is Milwaukee. He go to Milwaukee, Giannis comes to Boston. That's kind of the one you kind of see here. I could potentially see Jaylen go into the Western Conference somewhere. And I don't know why a team like Phoenix, maybe the Lakers, maybe the Clippers are the teams that I've got circled on my map right now.
The reason I'm laughing, I'm not going to argue, because I wrote something on Facebook.
And I don't have Facebook, so I don't see it.
I wrote yesterday or the day before yesterday, right?
Yeah.
I listened to a Jason Tatum interview, and I've heard him say something I've never heard a player say before. He was saying that he wants to stay in Boston. He wants to win the championship, and he wants to be the finals MVP.
That's a cheap shot.
I don't know how cheap it is, because you got to remember, I think it's a response. Because if you remember the week before, Jaylen Brown said that he had the most fun he's ever had this season.
And Jason didn't play.
And Jason was out most of the season. So I think there's a little friction. I wrote about it. I said, do we have a little Kobe and Shaq thing going on in Boston? Yeah. And I think that this is now, if you look at it, I don't think they're like 2 guys that's like the greatest of friends, okay?
Yeah.
And we know how when things happen, Tatum was obviously disappointed that he didn't win MVP. Because for me, he was the MVP, okay?
I had him too.
But I know Jaylen Brown played defense and all of that, and played some good offense. But I just think there's a little friction there, and I could see him moving to the Western Conference for that reason, so that if it were to ever happen, what would be a better championship in his mind than a championship with Jaylen Brown on one team, and if it were to happen, Jason Tatum on another team?
Yeah. Do you think he goes out west, possibly?
That's the reason I could see it, because I think he would want to prove something. Both of them developed their own identity now. In one conference, I'm in this conference, Jaylen Brown. Tatum's in the Eastern Conference. And then they start thinking about what could happen in the future.
Yeah.
That would be a marquee matchup. People would still want to see that, wouldn't they? Jason Tatum versus Jaylen Brown in the NBA Finals. So, yeah, I could see him going to the Western Conference. Now, where? That would be the question for his style of play. Which teams will be interested in him? Houston Rockets there's some teams I could throw out there that Jaylen Brown would fit in, but I'll just say Houston Rockets right now. That's one.
Does it work with him and KD?
How long is KD going to even be around, sir? We're used to KD moving around. He's got that bag sitting on the bed when the season starts. And once the season's over, he picks up that bag, and the odds are he's moving on somewhere else. So is he even going to be in Houston next year?
That was another guy that I was going to ask you about. He's not on the list, but is KD in Houston? I think they got to look at, okay, do you either move KD or do you move Alperen Sengun?
You move Mr. Burner accounts,
yeah,
sir.
You move KD for me.
He hurt. The players didn't like when he was doing these burner. They really believed that was him talking. So
they didn't like that he sat out the playoffs.
And well, that compounds it even more there. So yeah, I don't see him coming back to Houston. I really don't.
I'll give you a couple of names more, but do you think this is going to be the most transactional offseason we've seen in a while?
Yes,
of big stars.
These are big stars. So, I know they've been injured. Zion's still a big star.
Yeah,
I could see Zion. I don't know. Maybe because he went on his diet or whatever, they'll keep him.
That I
don't know. So, but you got Ja Morant. We still got that little. What's going to happen with the Ja Morant situation?
I got a massive Ja Morant trade that I worked out, and you might even like it. I got a massive one.
So there's going to be some trades. Is Jaylen Brown going to be there? Is Giannis coming back? Is LeBron James?
That one, that's the one that I got to really get into in a little bit. But you mentioned Ja Morant. Now, my GM hat, I like the GM a lot. So Ja Morant's biggest thing is they're talking about the Bulls. Now, you're Bob Myers. Where is he? He's in Philly now. So Bob Myers' biggest thing is, I can't get rid of Edgecombe. I can't get rid of Maxey. They're my two best players. But I got to do something with George and Embiid. Nobody wants those contracts. I mean, they're terrible unless I attach a first to them. So let me throw out Embiid there. Let me just, you know what? We're going to build around Maxey and Edgecombe. So my GM had said this. You get the Bulls, you get the Grizzlies, and you get the Sixers. Three-way team. You send Ja to Chicago, where he's kind of expecting maybe to go one of the places they're expecting him to go. You send Embiid and Jalen Smith to Memphis. Now, Memphis sends Santi Aldama to Philadelphia, and the Bulls send Josh Giddey to Philadelphia. All the contracts worked out. Everything's good. You attach that first-round pick, again, from Philadelphia for taking Joel Embiid. You give it to Memphis. And then, of course, the Bulls get, a pick as well. There's a couple of picks in there. But that is the only way, or one of the few ways, Bob Myers can actually get rid of one of those massive contracts.
Oh, man, I'm going to bring up Ja, okay?
Yeah.
If Billy Donovan were still the coach, I could possibly see Ja moving to Chicago, right?
Okay.
But now you're basically sending the franchise in a different direction. You got to hire a new coach.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring that pressure on a new coach? You just bringing them in, not even giving them a chance to get their feet wet, and you're already bringing in the guy that's going to cause drama during the year. And even if he's not acting up, I'm saying Ja has developed a reputation now, right?
Yeah.
So there are going to be questions over the course of the year. Reporters want to know, Ja, are you maturing? Ja, are you this? Ja, are you that? And that's a lot to put on the plate for a new coach. So that would be the reason I would think that Chicago wouldn't entertain. Well, you entertain the idea, but they actually started developing something with Giddey and Buzelis.
And that's a problem. I think they're looking at Giddey as that's a contract they can move on from, and they can get something for Giddey. The problem is Josh Giddey on the court, he's a walking triple-double. I mean, the guy can get you a triple-double, and it's not massive. It's not Nikola Jokic triple-doubles. It's just a triple-double, 10-10-10. He's going to get you that, on a good night, a majority of the night. I don't think the Bulls, because they went out and traded for a gajillion guards for whatever reason, I think they feel like they can move on from Giddey and just get a player rather than having to pay him again later, because I think he's only got this upcoming year and that's it. So it's kind of a lucrative type of deal because you're getting an expired contract. So more teams may look at it like, well, we could take that on. But I love Giddey. I love Josh Giddey, in Chicago.
Yeah. What about Ja, though? Because I'm thinking, okay, oh man, how good would this work out for Ja? You take him from Memphis, And we know what's, a lot about Memphis these days. I won't say a whole lot. It's been a lot of things that have happened over the last course of, the rappers and all of that.
Yeah.
So, and then Ja, his own personal stuff going on. Do you want to send him back into kind of almost the same environment in Chicago?
Again, I thought about that, but isn't it kind of, hey, Chicago, if you want him, it's your problem?
Yeah. But I'm just thinking too, because I like, Giddy.
We could send him to Utah where really nothing goes on.
Well,
he can't get in much trouble.
I'm trying to think of a team. I'm trying to think of a team for Ja that has veterans that are still around, that are, basically like mentors, like Udonis Haslem was, kind of like DeAndre Jordan is today.
I don't think San Antonio can afford to take Ja Morant.
No, there's some team that he can play. We know he's a very good player, right? Yeah, and I think he's going to come back hungry this year.
Yeah.
And then you threw in Santi Aldama going to Philly. That means they totally, and there's no more. What, we trust in the process again? Give us 10 more years.
Oh no, process is done. It's been done for a while. We're gonna go the route of we're just gonna rebuild the process.
Well,
put it on a T-shirt, Philly fans. Rebuild the process.
I don't see Maxey and Edgecombe being those kind of guys where they're not going to settle for a rebuild. Those two guys want to be all-stars.
Yeah.
And we've already seen Tyrese Maxey have a breakout season last year, right?
Yeah.
Edgecombe had a really good year this year. Those guys want to win.
Yeah.
And so they'll probably now. What do you think about Giannis there?
Giannis makes sense if they're willing to take back Paul George or Joel Embiid.
Well, once you say you get Giannis, you already know Embiid's gone.
Yeah.
At this point, they have to decide what they're going to do. Now, the reason you trading a guy that's been injury prone lately for another guy that's injury prone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I have more faith in Giannis being able to reach that 65 game threshold. Way more confidence in him being able to reach it than I do in Embiid. But I could see Giannis moving on to a team like Philadelphia. I think with him, they tried it with him and Dame Lillard, right?
Yeah.
Chris Middleton. So he's had players, but now you put him with two guys. You got one guard who's strong and can defend, Edgecombe, and can also give you 20 points as necessary. And then you got Maxey, a guy that could push the ball up the floor, one of the fastest guys in the league. I think Giannis would entertain some plan with two guys like that, two beasts. And I think that he would do well in Philadelphia.
Yeah, you mentioned you're trading one injury prone for another injury prone. The difference for me is that Giannis will play through injury. He'll play with injury. He wanted to play this year, but Milwaukee said, no, we're not going to let you. Obviously, they want to keep him healthy for trade. Embiid don't want to play.
Well, here's another good thing for Giannis. If he were to go to entertain Philly, the guy who told me why he had Russell Westbrook playing center, when you remember in Houston when they traded Clint Capella for Russell Westbrook, and Daryl Morey told me on Messenger on Facebook that why he was playing Russ, he was going to make Russ the center and all that. So we see Daryl Morey's gone, so that might be something that's even more enticing for Giannis. Come on, make that move to the city of brotherly love.
That would be a decent move. We need to see that happen. There's going to be a lot of movement going on. One guy you mentioned, LeBron James, I think he's a free agent this coming off season. So the problem is does he take less money to stay in LA? Does he go somewhere else? Is he at the end of he's at the end of his career. I know 41 years old. I know he's putting up numbers still. He's doing all the good stuff, but you're looking at LeBron like how much is enough? You've kind of already accomplished everything you can. And you got bottled water, so we need to get the camera on you.
No, I have a full bottle of water. And then I have a 41-year-old bottle of water here. So my point is, I love, LeBron's still a top tier player, right?
Yeah.
But if you could get something young for him, and I think the Lakers I think that ship has sailed. I think I don't think either side is happy with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Clutch Sports, throw them in, Rich Paul. There's a lot of things over these he's been there 8 years.
Yeah.
And I saw something yesterday. They were talking about has LeBron been like basically underappreciated and all that in LA. And I said, no way. They've done everything he's asked. He's asked for Anthony Davis, right? Whatever he's wanted, he's gotten. And then on top of it, they top it off, they bring his son on the team.
Yeah.
So I don't see where they've disrespected him at all. Rob Pelinka, I'm sure they admire what the things that LeBron has done, okay? But when you start really breaking it down, is it worth the headache of next year?
No.
Bringing him back and him and Luka. And I'm gonna say this, and I believe this. This is just my opinion. I think behind the scenes, and sometimes I used to tell you about behind the scenes stuff.
Oh yeah.
I really don't believe Luka wants LeBron back.
I agree with that.
I just don't believe. I just think LeBron holds back the style of play that Luka wants to play, and he wants some young thoroughbreds in there. He doesn't want to have to defer to LeBron. And I believe, as the season went on, there were games that he started deferring as the season progressed.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves didn't end up really as a second option when the season was over. I know he suffered an injury, and then LeBron got his chance to shine. Luka was out. Austin Reeves was out, right? Yeah. So now LeBron's back where he's used to being. I'm the guy. I think now it's time for them to break that up and let everyone know who is the guy in LA. And that's Luka Doncic. And I think they're tired of having that cloud over their head. And I think we've seen the last of LeBron James as a Los Angeles Laker.
Same here. I don't know where he goes, but my thing too as a GM, if I'm a contender, I'm kicking the tires on LeBron James. But if I'm a serious contender, I'm not answering the call. I'm like, no. I mean, you're LeBron James. I get it. You're considered by this generation as the GOAT. I get what everything you've accomplished. But if I'm a serious contender, I'm probably not answering the phone. If I'm, I don't know, one of the bottom end teams, I'm picking up the call because, well, there go my season ticket sales. They're going to go up. Everyone's going to want to see LeBron James, in uniform for my team. That's kind of where, it's sad to say, but that's kind of where I see him. He can make an impact. He can make a difference, but he's not going to make it on a contender. He's not going to be the number one option. Shea, Chet, they won't allow it.
But is it just LeBron coming?
You have to take on Bryant.
Okay, well,
and you got to draft Bryce.
Oh, Bryce has to get on the floor at Arizona first.
I guarantee you, if he was to have come out this year,
someone would have
taken him.
I can't argue that because,
Can I change my last name to Gervin to see if I can get drafted by somebody? That would be awesome. It's going to be an interesting offseason. There's no doubt. We got a couple of questions before we go on. Jeff is wondering, is John Moran even worth a trade at this point? I think he is. I mean, he's still talented. He's a hell of a talented player. Is Brooks overrated? I'm wondering, saying Dylan Brooks, if he's overrated. I think he's asking about Dylan Brooks.
No, because you know who Dylan Brooks is. Excuse me. Dylan Brooks' job is to get in your head.
Yeah.
And I've seen it work on several players. And here go the funny thing. He had the play of the year for me the other day, even though he wasn't playing. Did you see him? Did you see him sitting in the front of the basket when LeBron would shoot? And he had the bling bling and all that, and he got the teeth. Man, I'm saying a guy like that you got to have on your team. So I think he did everything they brought him into, and he actually had a breakout year. This was the best year of his career.
Oh yeah,
he was a scorer. He played well.
Yeah. So
I think Dylan Brooks had a great year.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think he's overrated at all. Struggs has us a T in here. And one last thing, Jeff says, for tonight's game 6, if just one Wolves player steps up with Ant, is that enough to beat the San Antonio Spurs?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. One player? No.
He's going to need an Eiffel Tower performance from Gobert defensively, not fumble the ball. He's going to need Julius Randle. Is it me, or does Julius just throw that chicken wing every time he drives? I mean, he must have a hitch in his swing because that arm, it pushes everybody. I fall back on the couch when I see it. I'm getting pushed
He's
back.
been doing that since he was with the Lakers.
Exactly. I mean, you would have think somebody would have caught it by now. Secaucus, what are you doing? You should have caught this a long time ago.
Oh, shout out to Secaucus, my old stomping ground, Secaucus, New Jersey. Hey, but you look at tonight, okay?
All right.
I'm trying to think, because even if Dosunmu has a good game, it goes back to what I said earlier. They're gonna have to hit perimeter shots.
There's not a lot of
and that's the same with OKC. That's going to be the same with every team that comes in the area of San Antonio Spurs. They're going to have to be making perimeter shots because Victor's we still see his progression.
Yeah.
And the guy covers a lot of ground, man. It's getting to the point where now he almost seems like it's prayer mantis. It's like he's guarding 2 or 3 people at one time. He has that much effect on these guys. And so I think tonight, if he scores, I'll say this: if Victor even gets 8 to 10 points in the first quarter, it's over.
There you go. There you go, man. Tonight, Game 6, San Antonio, Minnesota. One more thought that we're going to get into before we get into our commercial break here, and it's the WNBA talk, Derek. I know you're going to love this one. Here we go. All right, WNBA talk. We got the best producer in the game, man. Funny thing came up: Mount Rushmore of WNBA players. We can only pick 4, and people don't give a lot of love to. I love the WNBA. I watch as many games as I can because I've always said, the women's sport. To me, it's fantastic. It's fundamental basketball. Yeah, they're gonna miss layups, yada. But you know what? I watch my little girl play. I watch high schoolers play. They're not always perfect. It's the perfect thing about basketball, especially for WNBA, high school, middle school, is it's imperfect. That's what I love about it. It's fundamentally sound. But the top 4 players for the Mount Rushmore of WNBA, for me, it's crazy because I put Cynthia Cooper up there. First 4-time finals MVP, first 4 titles of the WNBA existence was with the Houston Comets. I got to put Cynthia up there. You mentioned Cheryl Swoops. I'm still fighting that. I even said, I mean, right now, I almost would put Asia. I would almost have to consider her, but then you got Maya Moore. You got even Lauren Jackson. Brianna Stewart can make a massive case for it. I mean, Shamika Holdsclaw. We can't include Cheryl Miller because she never played in the league. I mean, people may think that's not that hard, WNBA. It actually is very difficult to get 4 players.
Man, look, you mentioned 4, Teresa Edwards, multiple Olympic teams. I mean,
Taurasi. You didn't even mention
Diana
Taurasi.
Shamika Holdsclaw, Tamika Catchings.
Yeah.
There's so many. It's impossible to what's the one I told Tina Charles.
Yeah.
We talk about all-time greats.
Yeah.
Angel McCoughtry. There's been several that have been superstar status. And to break it down for me, man, I'm like 30 years. Let me see. 4 players.
And we can't even put on players like Lisa Leslie.
Well,
I mean,
that's another one.
If you're thinking about current players that have the potential, we mentioned Asia Wilson. I mean, Nafisa Collier is another one that could eventually be up there, but I mean, you almost have to omit the players that are playing right now because the history is so rich in the WNBA.
I told you earlier I wouldn't put Asia up there right now only because she's still playing.
Yeah.
But if you just look at it, talking about 4, that's harder for me than picking 4 for the NBA.
That's why I asked you. That's why I asked you, because this is difficult.
30 years, and I watched them all every year.
Yeah.
It's, man. Let me just say, so some people think the NBA, I mean, the CBA just started, not the CBA, I'm sorry, WNBA just started thriving.
Oh, God, no.
30 years of basketball. I've watched them all. So it's been going on. Now, here's the interesting thing. You talk about Mount Rushmore. You mentioned Cynthia Cooper. Of course, for me, that would be me. I have bias. She would be my first pick.
Me too.
But there's been so many, man. I mean, the great ones. Right? Maya Moore would probably be my second. I will go Cynthia Cooper.
Yeah.
Maya Moore would be my second.
Those two are on mine.
I have to give Diana Taurasi her flowers.
Yeah.
That would be my third. And my fourth is I'm going to go back to LA. My fourth would be Candace Parker.
I even forgot about Candace.
That would be my four.
Jeff wonders if eventually Caitlin Clark gets on there.
We don't know because we got to see how her, as of right now, she's not on the path to getting on there. Jeff shooting 18% from three. So
I think it's fair to say that as of right now, I don't think she's top 10.
Right now, no, but we know things can change instantly.
Obviously,
yeah, but we got to see. Plus, it's still early in the season.
Yeah.
She's got to get back into the flow. You know, she was out most of the season last year.
Yeah.
And and then she's got a few new players on her team. So she's got some adapting to do. And so do the other players as well.
Yeah.
But as we move forward, Caitlin's going to be in the mix. But right now, it was hard. Cynthia Cooper.
What about Sue Bird?
See, but you only told me I could pick four.
No, I'm just throwing names out there.
Sue is another one, but I would have to say, but you look at it: Cynthia Cooper, Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Candace Parker. Those would be the four that stand out over everyone for me. And if Angel keeps progressing, Asia keeps progressing the way she's going.
Yeah,
we got to bring her in there. And some people not gonna like this. But we talk about players like Draymond. We talk about players like Dennis Rodman, right?
Angels.
Okay, Angel's on her. Angels is the double queen right now.
Yeah, she's not the triple single.
I'm just saying, as we look forward, so these young ladies are, going to make an impact. Chelsea Gray and all. There's been some players. Skylar Diggins.
That's another one.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of great ones, but it's amazing for me because being a former NBA player and a guy that played boys basketball all my life, to have a harder time picking the ladies, that just means that the WNBA has been thriving more than people want to actually admit.
And I recommend those that don't want to give it a chance, give it a shot, man. I really enjoy watching it. I'm a girl dad. I get my little girl from time to time to watch the WNBA games. She sat there. She watched most recently Dallas, I believe, like it's Dallas against Indiana. She saw her first time ever seeing Paige Beckers play. So, I recommend watching it because it is more difficult to select and it's even more difficult to select, an actual greatest of all time in WNBA.
Tough.
That's for you and me. It's like, well, it's Kareem and Mike. Either or. WNBA, did Cynthia have a long enough career? Well, she had a dominant career at the beginning, but didn't really do anything after that. So could you put her in the GOAT conversation? Probably so still. And you got the talks of Maya Moore, what she did to make a catch. There's so many out there. But I'll tell you one thing, where Cynthia Cooper was my number one pick, I feel bad because my favorite player was Tisha Penicheiro.
Oh, boy.
Well, Old Dominion started at Old Dominion for me.
Female pistol Pete Maravich, Jason White Chocolate Williams.
I tried getting her on the show, but apparently I can't do it. I need to if I get Tisha Penicheiro, you're gonna have to run the show because I would be frozen.
That's a passer.
I don't know what to ask Tisha.
That's a passer.
I modeled my game after guys like Mark Price.
She might be the best passer. I know they're talking about Caitlin today.
Oh God, she's way better.
Penicheiro might be the best passer I've seen of all my years of watching the WNBA. She's definitely up there at the top three without question.
Better passer than Jason Williams.
She's she was tough. I would have been running the break. I would have been happy to be running the break.
I can see Derek on the break.
Yeah, oh, man.
Jeff wants to know, is Caitlin Clark just so far, we know there's a lot of time left, she a low-key bust?
No.
I don't think yes yet.
Not a bust, no. Because she just had 24 the other night.
Yeah. I
know she had the turnovers, the 6 turnovers or whatever, but 5-6 turnovers, but no, she's a long way from a bust. She's already made the all WNBA first team.
Yeah. Yeah, she has. She really has, man. It's tough. I don't care what anybody says. It is super tough to actually pick a Mount Rushmore for the WNBA. I don't know if I could ever do that.
That one was tough. Man.
That one was extremely, extremely tough, man. When we get back, it's going to be Spurs Cheeseman. Derek, the question of all questions that we're going to get into, and then we'll also give another shout out to you know, the fans make sure they celebrate right tonight if the Spurs end up winning. Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr., shout out to Salem Surround. Here's our commercial break. We'll be back in just a little bit to talk more Spurs Cheeseman.
Looking for the inside track on the silver and black? From deep dive analysis to breaking news on Wemby and the squad, get it all at Spurs in Focus. Join veteran beat writer Jeff Garcia for the ultimate one-stop spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Subscribe now at spursinfocus.substack.com.
Billboards, gas stations, gyms, grocery stores, and more.
Salem Media puts your brand in front of San Antonio wherever life takes them.
Call 210-526-3626. Call 210-526-3626 and get noticed.
You know your business inside and out, but does your community? With Salem Media's podcast and video production services, you can share your expertise and connect with customers on their commute or wherever they listen. We handle production and distribution, so your content reaches the right ears on multiple podcast platforms. Stop letting competitors own the conversation. Call Salem Media today and ask about our local business podcast packages. Call Chris at 210-526-3631. 210-526-3631.
So, like, I hear about the Spurs this y Spurs that, y como que esto y esta, pero I never hear about the real Spurs Cheeseman. Nine, por favor.
All right, Spurs Cheeseman time. Here we go. Let's bring it up here, Derek. And big question on the Cheeseman segment here. Basically, one team, which two players on one team, they got to be on the same team, would you or anybody trade for Victor Wembanyama? Now, national media has it 0 out of 30 teams that would trade for Victor Wembanyama. There's no two players on any team, not even Chet and Shea, will be traded for Victor because it's just not worth it. I don't know if they understand. You're just trading Victor. You're still keeping everybody else. So I'm asking you for the Cheeseman. Are there two players on the same team that you would trade for one Victor Wembanyama right now?
And this is just a hypothetical. I mean,
no, we want to make everybody mad in San Antonio. Let's make them mad.
If I had the opportunity for me, and I talked to you about it, there would be one team, and that would be OKC.
Yeah. It
would be Shea and Chet.
Yeah.
A combination of Shea and Chet, two guys that have already proven that they can win. Two is better than one for me. As great as Victor is, if I had the opportunity to acquire a guy who's already a 4 or 5-time first team All NBA,
yeah,
and then I have one of the best role players in the league, 6'11", can spread the floor, can run the floor, can block shots, can rebound. I got those two guys, and I'm bringing them to my squad. I'm gonna find a way to make it work. I would hate to lose a Victor Wembanyama, but I'm going to say it again, a two is better than one for me, and especially when it's two guys that are of that caliber, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren.
Now, for me, I don't know if I could trade two, but I'll give you another two because I started thinking about it when we talked about it, and I thought, you know what, let me go to bed on it. And I woke up this morning, and I said, you know, I'm keeping Fox, I'm keeping Castle, I'm keeping Harper. I got my trio. Would a Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon deal for Victor move the needle a little bit?
Not for me at this point. And, you know, I'm high on Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
But he's also been getting these little reoccurring injuries lately.
Yeah.
And so if I give up somebody, I got to get guys that I know that have already proven that they're going to be able to handle the grind.
Yeah.
And Chet and Shea are guys that play. We don't have to worry about the 65 games. You know, they play. If you look at Shea, he wants to be out there on the floor. Chet wants to play.
Yeah.
And so if I can get two guys like that, and aren't they the NBA champions as we speak?
They are.
So if I'm going to give up something like Victor, I want a whole lot of gold back. And for me, those two guys are the gold standard right now.
So Chet and Shea are the only two. That's two more than anyone ever said on any show that was talking about it. Anytime they came up, I was like,
Let me tell you something funny, how
Go ahead.
people talk, right?
Go ahead.
So I posed this question on Facebook after you asked me.
Yeah.
And so I got a lot of answers. And one guy had the nerve to say the only two people he would give up Victor for were Giannis and Embiid. And I just started thinking, wait a minute. Now I'm sitting here talking about Shea and Chet, two guys who show up. They're actually on the floor.
Yeah.
And you're going to give up Wemby for two guys who might be playing 40 games a season. They might not even play 82 games combined.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, why would that make sense? I'm going to give up all the assets of Victor Wembanyama for two guys that'll be on IR half the season.
But did he not see the question where it said the same team?
Even if they weren't the same team, why would I still want those two guys? As good? If we talking 5 years ago, okay.
Is there any, okay, let me stretch it out here. Is there any two players on one team in any era you would trade for Wemby?
Nah, come on. Now that's an easy question. Yes.
Obviously,
Jordan, Pippen, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Shaq. We can go on. David, Rob. We can go. I won't go Spurs.
I was saying you can't go David. You can trade Wemby.
But come on. That's easy.
That is
Victor. Yeah, because we still got to look at it. Now I'm gonna be honest, and this is not. We just being truthful.
Yeah.
I still wonder the height, Victor's size. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that he can have a 10-year career. And for a guy his size, we've seen it multiple times with the Ralph Sampsons, the Sean Bradleys.
Yao Ming.
Yao Ming. So I'm hoping that he can have a 10-year career. And when you and I put on our GM hats, we talk about our GM hats, right?
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about Victor's long-time health, and I get an opportunity to take two young thoroughbreds like Shea and Holmgren, that would be something I would at least have to entertain.
I've always said, people have gotten upset, and I've told you, I've always said, if I'm the Spurs GM, I would take calls on Tim Duncan. I mean, I have to do it, but the role of a general manager is to take the call on any player, no matter who it is, no matter what. You don't have to do the deal, but you have to entertain the option. For me, that's why I think I would probably be a good GM, but a bad GM, because if Derek called me and said, you know what, Rudy, I want to take Victor and I want Steph Castle. What can we do to get those two players? Obviously, I know they're probably off the table, but what do you got? That's my next question. What do you got? Because if you're going to give me 8 years worth of first round picks, unprotected, 2 all-stars, and maybe another 2 guys that are excellent role players, well, then maths, because I think that would be a win-win for me.
Remember, you're talking to me, so I see things.
You won't offer that, I know.
But no, I'm just saying about how players move, right?
Yeah.
So we're thinking about you sitting there talking to a Gervin now, a guy who never saw my brother wearing any other jersey than the silver and black. So for George to end up going to Chicago, that told me way back then in 1986, 40 years ago, we're not even talking about WNBA 30 years, 40 years ago, that told me that no deal is off the table.
Exactly.
George Iceman Gervin, who I thought would retire San Antonio Spur. I was hoping we would get the statue and all of that. And then within an instant, it all changed. And that could happen. No player is bigger than the league. And that includes Victor. And we got a reminder at the beginning of this past season, didn't we?
Yeah.
A guy by the name of Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Traded to the LA Lakers. So when you put your GM hat on, sometimes you might have to make uncomfortable decisions. And that's what a GM does. And so any player could be traded. That includes Victor Wembanyama.
Jerry West once said it, and I can't remember word for word, but it was like the best decision may not always be the popular one, and the popular decision may not always be the best one. That was Jerry West, probably one of the best general managers to ever live. I mean, we're being honest, to ever live. So I totally understand that, and I totally get that part of it. And the one thing about Wemby is I've come more and more close to using that capital G word a lot more lately that I don't like to use for just about anybody yet. I think probably this time next year, I'm gonna start adding letters to that G.
Already, huh?
I think so because I'm looking at it, man. And it was funny because I could have brought it up on Twitter and I didn't have a chance to do it. But they talked about the big men lineage. And they had the Houston Rockets, Moses, Hakeem, they had the 3 big guys for there. Boston's had theirs, but then they had 2 other teams on there. They had the Lakers, where it was Wilt, Kareem, Shaq, and then the Spurs, David, Tim, Wemby. And I threw away Houston. I threw away Boston. I'm okay. Okay, whatever. I don't need those teams. And I thought, those are the 2 teams that I follow. Like, wait a minute. The Spurs have a tremendous 3-headed monster there. The only advantage I give the Lakers are titles. Because if you're pairing them up, David had some really good success against Shaq. Tim and Kareem would probably be an ideal. I think Kareem wins with the sky hook, but Tim makes it difficult. And then you got Wilt and Victor, who are identical on dominance on both ends of the court, except Victor's got a jumper. So it's like that horse race is San Antonio's about to win by a nose on that race. I can't finish that race. That is so hard to do for me.
I'm 63 years old, and I've been around the NBA most of my life. George is 11 years older than me, right?
Yeah.
So I've been around the ABA and the NBA since 1973.
Yeah.
And man, that's 53 years. And I'm gonna tell you something. Me being an offensive player, okay, from an offensive family, there's 2 guys, 2 of the best. I'm gonna say we talking about the big men, and you talking about Victor with the G being added. You got you're gonna add the other letters.
Maybe next year. Yeah.
I've watched all these years, right? And I'm gonna say this: the 2 best moves I've ever seen a big man make. One would be the highlight they always show when Hakeem Olajuwon was giving Dave Robinson those 4 or 5 fakes. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure everyone remembers that. And then the one that happened last week. Oh my goodness. The crossover, woo, and then the spin, right, on Rudy Gobert, Victor, and then he threw it in with the left hand.
Faked it.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, not the one he passed.
Oh,
The one he spun and he almost dunked it.
Yeah.
Man, that is the best move. That might be the best move I've ever seen any big guy or tall guy make in my life, man. You talking about a guy 7'5", 7'6", giving you a crossover. They talk about a bag today, right?
Yeah.
So how many people have we seen that have a bag bigger than Victor Wembanyama? That move there and Hakeem Olajuwon stood out to me immediately, and I'm a Kareem Jabbar fan, the sky hook. But those 2 moves I'll never forget in my life, man. Just absolutely spectacular.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen that. And funny, right on cue, we got a question for you from Jeff again. Would you trade Wemby for prime Hakeem Olajuwon?
No. Wait, wow.
Oh my God. That's what I love about these fans out here, because they know how to stump us.
Jeff,
time.
that's not a fair question, man. I'm living here in San Antonio. Come on now. I'm not trying to have to uproot and move to Houston. Don't do that to me.
Oh man.
Okay, back to the word we've been using. I would entertain it. How about that? just
I'll take the call.
Just the fact that I'm entertaining it tells already. So are we already putting Victor? Talent-wise, we have to put Victor already top 10 centers of all time.
I have no doubt he's top 10.
Without question. We're talking talent. He already goes to near the top, right?
If you're
overall
talent, he's top 5.
I'm just trying to think who would be the other, because it'll be him and Jokic.
Dream.
Okay.
Kareem. I don't know if you can
see. I can't put Russell and Wilden.
You can't put Russell
or young Shaq.
Not even young.
Not even
Shaq. Shaq is a paint dominant guy, and even Kareem is a paint dominant guy. But because Kareem has the awards, is that why we put him above Victor? The accomplishments.
Only guy I could even see that would be in that same atmosphere, and that's if he were to stay healthy, would have been the late great Bill Walton.
Yeah. But even Walton, jump shot?
But even jump shot, yeah. But even defensively, I'm saying he could come away from the basket if necessary. He covered a lot of range defensively.
He has a bigger IQ.
He was athletic too. People forget Bill Walton was very athletic.
Yeah.
And so if we're talking about that, that's rare air. So Victor's already in rare air. No matter what happens the rest of his career, he's already made his mark.
So then what I hear you telling me is I should start using the G word more often.
If someone says you're a top 5 already skill set, and you've only been in the league, what? How many? Three years? And you already, we talking about the upper echelon skill set, all these big men that have played the game.
Yeah.
That's rare. I mean, the Artis Gilmores, I've seen them all, the Nate Thurmans, the Wilts. I can't think of any one other than these people we named. And so Victor would come to me right away, just like that. We talking about skill set. It wouldn't take me any time. Victor Wembanyama.
You know, a few weeks back, we were arguing whether he was better than David Robinson. We had that argument.
Yes.
And then we actually said Tim Duncan versus David. I think seeing Victor now, he has a bigger skill set than David does, obviously. But defensively, I think he might have overcome the defensive talks.
Question before we get off the air.
Oh, we got a couple times. We got
Kareem, Shaq,
mm-hmm.
or Robinson, Duncan, Wembanyama.
Robinson, Duncan, Wembanyama.
Oh boy, do you realize what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. I think we're putting too many eggs into the accomplishment baskets and forgetting the skill set. That's what I'm. That is a massive show to have because, I mean, you're talking, like I said, those 3 players per team, their skill set, it's Spurs.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just want you to think of those 3 names, though. Shaq, Kareem, and Wilt. Now, you got to remember this. Wilt did lead the league in assists.
That he did.
Kareem wasn't a bad passer, better than average passer.
Yeah.
Shaq wasn't a bad passer.
No.
Not a really good passer, but he wasn't bad. He's above mediocre.
Yeah.
And so, I give them credit. Plus, and young Shaq was bringing the ball down the floor. Right?
Yeah.
Kareem could go out on the perimeter and shoot the little jump shot. A lot of people don't know that about him.
Yeah, they had told him with the sky hug. So,
but just to be mentioning those 3 in the same breath with Shaq and Kareem and Wilt is already amazing.
Of the 3, and then you talk about the Spurs, David was the first, well, in my opinion, from what I've seen, the first true center that had guard skill sets. So that was an evolution right there. Tim Duncan was just, Tim Duncan. There was really no flaws in the game that, if he had a bad game, he always bounced back to have a big one. And then you've got Victor, and it's like, how do you, if you're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the better defensive centers in the game, and Victor brings you out to the 3-point line, that's a very difficult matchup for Kareem.
Yes.
Extremely difficult matchup. There's nobody on that center and that Lakers trio that could potentially guard him if he takes you out to the perimeter.
They had this on Facebook as well. They had like 5 or 6 centers, all-time greats.
Yeah.
That which one would you pick to guard Victor? And the one I picked was the one I've been on the floor with here in San Antonio, the Admiral.
Yeah.
Dave is the guy. Yeah. Well, Dave can go away from the basket and, guard Victor at the 3-point line. Dave's quick enough to slide his feet, but Victor puts it on the floor. And he's the guy that I picked that would make him work. Wilt was great, but we saw an older Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
So he's not coming away from that basket. You see how much trouble Rudy has. Rudy Gobert doesn't look like the same person that he looked like in the last series, does he? Against Jokic.
Yeah.
No. So the only person I could think of, even Olajuwon, that far away from the basket, I don't think he could deal with the crossovers and around the backs. I'm just being honest.
No, I don't think so.
Dave would be the only one I would give a chance, and we don't even know how well that'll work.
Yeah, I don't think it would work very well because of Victor's ball handling skills. I think he would probably spin Dave a couple of times.
If you can't strip Victor on the way up, you're in trouble. Because where's his release coming from?
The top,
We've seen Kevin Durant's release. Victor's release is
way up top. That's true.
It's crazy.
Jeff is one more comment and question from Jeff, and then we'll end the show here in a little bit here. If you were to trade Wemby for Peak Dream, imagine Akeem with the current roster. Does that move the needle for you?
No, because I think Victor fits their style of play better.
Yeah.
What they want to do as far as him bringing, you can take him away from the basket offensively.
Yeah.
You can't do that with Dream. So now you're kind of clogging up the lane more, taking away driving lanes from guys like De'Aaron Fox, Castle, guys that like Dylan Harper. All three of them like to get to the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it plays well when Victor, Victor doesn't even have to be in the play. That's what I like about him the most.
Yeah.
Sometimes he doesn't have to be in the play. He's that unselfish. And he gives those guys room to be themselves, to operate. Right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want Olajuwon for this style of play. I think you got to have this guy that can shoot, that can spread the floor. And then on the defensive end, he might be under the basket and he's capable at least running out to the corner and at least making you alter your shot.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that. As great as Dream is, I'd rather take I'll have Victor for this style of play that they play, the Spurs play.
It's intriguing, man. That is for sure. That's going to be a difficult time to even as hard as it was to determine the Mount Rushmore of WNBA. It's little questions like that come up that are like, we have to really consider and think about it. Almost like we got to consider and think about the schedule that came out for the NFL. We'll get into that next week. NFL talk. Of course, you've got Spurs talk as well. Spurs play tonight against Minnesota at 8:30 at the Target Center. Hopefully they close it out, make me look good for 2 series in a row, because I did say Spurs in 5 the first one, Spurs in 6 in this one. Before we go, Derek, the NBA, is mourning 2 losses in Brandon Clark and Jason Collins this past week. Our prayers do go out to both of those guys. Brandon Clark, 29 years old, still a player in the league. Again, just losing a player so young is so difficult for the NBA family. And then, of course, Jason Collins, losing him as well. Just another tough loss for the NBA family for both guys.
Yeah, I want to send my condolences to the Clark family and the Collins family. And the Collins family, that one, for me, I knew he had been ill, but that one hit me. That was a little different for me personally, because I know his ex-fiance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've talked to her. I actually talked to her 2 days ago, and I sent my condolences to her as well. They were together for 7 or 8 years. And so, Carolyn, I'm sending my condolences out to you as well. And, yeah, that hurt, man. But to see these guys, and then Brandon Clark at 29 years old, gone so soon, very sad, man. I just, they'll be missed. I'll say both guys. Brandon Clark, rest in peace. And Jason Collins, rest in peace.
Yeah, definitely. Prayers are up for both players, Jason Collins and Brandon Clark. The NBA did lose them this past week. Another fun Friday drive, man. I mean, we always say, well, I wonder if this show is going to be better than the last one. It just keeps getting better and better. The questions and the topics just keep going on and on until we talk football next week. More basketball talk next week. Maybe we'll do something different with the WNBA. I got to figure something out. But that Mount Rushmore, it's got my brain, fried already. So I'm going to have to use a week off just to get back into that thought process. Derek, one quick message for everybody in San Antonio. Spurs win Game 6. Fans, be responsible. Celebrate the Spurs way, as you can see from Derek. You got one last message to the fans before we go?
Just remember what this is about. This is a fun game. And then we want to show the young people how to handle success as well. Getting locked up or whatever, ruining your record, getting a record is unnecessary. Let's go out and win this game tonight. And let's honor the San Antonio Spurs the right way. And let's go Spurs. Go Spurs. Go.
I'm worried because it's a Friday night. Nobody's got to work tomorrow. Oh, my God. Thank God I don't live in San Antonio.
I'm gonna give the people the benefit of the doubt. I said tonight we've learned our lessons, and tonight we're gonna celebrate the right way.
There you go. Everybody be safe out there. If the Spurs are actually when the Spurs win tonight, please be safe out there. Be responsible. Celebrate the Spurs way. For Derek Irvin, it's Rudy Campos Jr. When you have those sports questions, we've got the sports answers right here on the Friday Drive. We'll see you next week.